to humanize the victims and to understand that people who were killed in Egypt might be your friends, your family, even your neighbors. So please, here. Give applause to Azra.
First, thank you so much for being in the room. I know it's been a long day, so I appreciate your attendance. Second, I'm sorry I couldn't identify myself for security reasons, obviously, for me and for my team. And third, and before we start, I might kindly ask you all to stand for a moment of silence to honor the victims of extrajudicial killing in Egypt. Before we start speaking about our project, let's remember some stories of beautiful humans who are not with us anymore. I'll start with Maryam. Maryam was 16 years old, high school student. She was watching the demonstrations happening on the 25th of January from the rooftop of her house. She was shot dead by security forces who were using live ammunition against the civilians in the streets at this moment. She passed away at the same day, and she was survived by two young brothers. And she was, as her parents said, the soul of the house. The life never been again the same for the family. At the very same day, 664 another Egyptians were killed. 1 year later, Karim, a young, beautiful boy who was 19 years old, he was a student at German University in Cairo. One day, he went with his friends to another city, Bursaid, to support his football team, who was the most famous in Egypt, Al Ahly. They were the fans of Al Ahly Ultras, which also was known as a very powerful group supporting the revolution. Few seconds after the game was ended, thugs with knife and guns started attacking Karim and his friends and the fans. The security forces were standing still, watching the crime that being committed. At this day, 74 young men were killed. In 2013, August 14th, Mike, who was a British, 6 years old British cameraman, he was just doing his job. He was filming security forces crashing the protests against the military coup. He was shot, killed at the same day with one shot. He was survived by two boys and a wife who criticized the Egyptian government for not providing any information about the murders of her husband. And everybody knows, because all things were already in camera. Everybody knows who killed people at this day. 4 days later, Mohammed El-Deeb, 27-year-old director, he was, sorry to use this might be really painful, but he was crashed inside a police truck in the foreyard of a prison in Egypt. With Mohammed Diab, another 37 prisoners were killed at this truck. And how many years did the officers who killed them spend in prison? 5 years. And then, in 2015, Shayma, she's a poet, a human rights activist, and the mother of a young boy. She went out to Tahrir Square on the anniversary of the revolution, holding flowers in her hand, just to commemorate the victims who lost their lives 4 years earlier. And then, just as she's standing, she got, live ammunition toward her. She lost her life to just join the innocent heroes she wanted to commemorate. Lastly, how many of the room knows this face? Can you show? Giulio Regini, 28 years old, PhD student, Italian student, who was in Cairo doing research for his PhD. Another anniversary of the revolution, he left his house in downtown Cairo and he disappeared. 1 week later, his brutally tortured body was found in Cairo. And the perpetrators already, names have been found by the Italian officials. Just a few days early, on 14th of May, his parents sent an open letter to the president of Egypt to ask him to send the murderers to Italy. No responses. Okay. This is the last one. He's 22 years old man. He was standing in front of his house. A police officer was passing by and he asked for his identification. He didn't like the way he was treated. So the police officer also did not like somebody to answer, who wanted him to treat him respectfully. He took him to the police station, and Muhammad lost his life at the same day. This was 2018. I choose one story from each year because over the last 8 years, extrajudicial killings in Egypt has been a systematic practice by the regime. It's not one accident, it's not one human, it's thousands of people lost their life. And that's why we decided to start our project. Every face of these faces had a story and a family and loved ones and friends whose life has been changed forever. This is not something happened in the past, it's still happening right now. Extrajudicial killings has been happening every day, especially in Sinai. And the crime is easy. They are terrorists. Last December, Human Rights Watch said the Egyptian government and the state media have framed this repression under the guise of combating terrorism, including enforced disappearance, torture, extrajudicial executions, and military trials of victims. That's why we started our project. We know that other initiatives started doing this, documenting the names, the numbers, and ages, profession of the victims. However, victims not only numbers, and we know that when the victim becomes just a number, it's easily forgotten. That's why we started collecting stories of the victims since 2011. We spent a whole year of 2018 just collecting information about the victims. And it's not only the names and profession. We decided to tell the stories of every single victim. What we wanted to do, to seeking the truth, because the regime, Egyptian regime, all the time in the media saying is fighting terrorism. Everybody against the regime in Egypt either is betraying the country as it happened in 2011, or it's a terrorist as it happened in 2013, when 1,150 Egyptians was killed in one day in the worst massacres happened in Egyptian recent history. We wanted to tell the truth. We wanted to show the life, the dreams, and the pain, and the hopes of these killed ones. That's why we started collecting our initiative. We did not start it. Before I tell you what we did, I wanted to say one important point. Many people asked who we are. And I'm covering my face now because I know very well I either will accuse I'm Islamist, or I'm a leftist, or I am pro-regime or against regime. I am just a human. And my team of 5 people who are Egyptians and non-Egyptian and who are from Egypt, US, UK, and Bosnia, put a whole year of hard work to put together these initiatives. None of this team belong to any political group or political party. How did we start it? We did not start from point zero. We know that other activists and people who pro human rights and who against what happened start collecting information since 2011. For example, Arab Network for Human Rights Information, which is a very well-known organization in the Arab world collecting information about the human rights situation. Also, Wiki Thawra is an Egyptian initiative start collecting names of the victims since day one in 2011. Rabaa Story is an initiative started in 2013 just after Rabaa massacre. And of course, sorry to say small, but in small massacres that is 35, 50, sometimes the Egyptian Ministry of Health released some information. We started to collecting all this information together. First of all, because we wanted to know the information before to go to the story. And we combined all these databases together and we started the fact-checking process. We wanted to make sure every information is mentioned is correct. We wanted to make sure that no missing information about the names, the age, and the profession. And having said that, I also have to say that in some cases we couldn't identify, because in every war there's unidentified victims, God knows them. But we wanted to keep at least the numbers, the names, and the information. Then we created our own database. I would claim that our project has the only, I would say, the most massive information about the extrajudicial killings in Egypt since 2011. Of course, extrajudicial killings has been happening in Egypt before 2011. But since 2011, it has become a systematic tool of the regime. First, to end the revolution. Second, to bring Egypt back to the case it's under right now, controlled by the military. After we collected the data, we start communicating with the families and friends of the victims. I have to say that it was very, very hard. It's very hard to ask people to, again, remember their beloved ones they lost forever. But also it was, I have to say, many of the families and the friends were really cheering that somebody, after all these years, remember the victims. We listened to the story, and also we depended on some media reports that have been released in the media. However, after 2013, many families and friends of the victims, many of them either in prison or left Egypt or couldn't talk anymore. So it was a little bit difficult for us. Our database has now over 2,000 victims in terms of the names, the profession, the age. However, we have more than 100 stories now, and we're working to collect the others. Why we are doing what we are doing? It happened before in Rwanda, it happened in Balkan, it happened in Egypt, killing people like they are not human, robbing them from their dignity. And somebody has to tell the story, because story empower people, empower them. When we tell you about this young man's dreams of just having a house or having a family or just living a life, you bring back his dignity. And if he just left with a number under the victim's name, he's not a human as we should recognize him. Also, Egyptian regime right now claiming that everybody's killed, he is existential threat to the nation. They are fighting terrorism, and they are killing these people because they are very dangerous. And that's why hundreds of websites have been blocked in Egypt right now. And that's why we decided to do this. We wanted to have all information available for people. They cannot just create their narratives saying they are terrorists, or they are betraying the country, or they are really a threat. We have to create our own alternative narrative, so they will not, keep their history. Maybe they won one battle, but we will not let them create the history. And finally, we know that it will not end with one project, and I will speak about that in one moment. But we also believe that keep pushing the Egyptian regime to stop this practice might save another lives, because this is happening right now. It might be happening while we are talking right now. It might be happening tomorrow. More pressure from inside, and especially the international community, might help us save more lives. So what we are planning to do over the next 5 years, we really want to raise the international awareness about the extrajudicial killings in Egypt, because the world, in Syria, in Yemen, everywhere, there's so many problems happening in the world, but we will not let the world turn his face away from what's happening in Egypt, because what's happening in Egypt means a lot for everyone in the region and in the world. And we decided to do this job. We will keep doing our project, and we wanted the world to listen to us. And that's why I am here today, covering my face and speaking in the case of anonymity, to let you guys listen to us and spread our word. We wanted to keep documenting. In the coming 5 years, we wanted to keep documenting the stories of the victims. We will not let the regime just naming the victims a terrorist or a threat. They have names, they have stories. They left behind young children or wives, and we will not, stay silent while this is happening. We will keep documenting. Also, in some very few cases, there was official investigation, and we wanted to have all this information about this in one place online that should be available for history, for researcher, for whoever cares about Egypt. And also, what happened in Egypt is not something did not happen before, and sadly, it will happen maybe again. So we wanted to have our project for other activists or researchers, that some place online has to be there, secure the information, and provide example of what should happen in these cases. And then, how can you help us? Of course, please go to our website and search for the story. Read it, share it with your network. That will help us a lot. That will make us make our goal achieved, because we want to spread the story about the victims. That's very important for us. We also, like as I said, we kind of almost volunteer our efforts and our time. So we all the time need translators and editors. So when you spread the word, if you have time, if you're interested in the project, if you feel this is something you want to spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours out of your time, a week, a month, please let us know, because we really need your efforts. Donate. We don't have a donation button on our website right now, but we will keep it active very soon, because we do not have any support for this moment, but we are seeking support. So we don't have like donation needed to keep the website active and with the new content. Also, please, I'm sure every one of this room has a wide network of people and organizations and experts. Please tell these people about us, because this project is very important for so many people. If the Egyptian regime used its absolute power to kill innocent Egyptians, We can use our power to make them live forever by keeping tell their stories and let our power defeat theirs. Remember this day. Thank you.
So, Azra, should we move to the questions from the public, or does anyone have questions? Okay. Then I'll ask one. So what are the responses you're getting so far?
We launched our project almost 4 months ago, and the day we launched it, it was the anniversary, the 8th anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution. We had a massive responses, especially from the families and friends, and also from the activists. Some of our followers on Twitter, for example, have millions of followers, and they start spreading the word. And I cannot say my feelings when we received the first messages saying, please keep doing what you are doing. It's very important. If you need any support, we are there for you. You keep doing what you are doing because it's very, very important. And right now we have many followers in the Twitter and Facebook, and also we have some, recently I received one letter just a few days ago from a man, I'm not sure his name is right as he sent to me or not, but he said, you are holding this instead of every one of us, and please keep doing what you're doing. So we having really great positive impact about the initiative.
And what is your ultimate goal?
We wanted ultimate goal, we wanted this, of course, first of all, we wanted to stop. We don't want to keep documenting, telling stories of victims. We don't need any more new victims. That's why this is our first ultimate goal. But also at the same time, we want recognition, and we want the victims who is being killed to be honored. In 2016, Egyptian security forces killed 12 tourists. 8 of them were Mexican. Egyptian government paid $140,000 US for every family of the Mexican victims. However, not one penny was paid to any of the victims of the 4 Egyptians killed at the same accident. So we want recognition, we want to honor the victims, we want compensation for the families. And if we cannot do that right now, we have to keep pushing, because at some point we might have another Egypt, and we might have all right to ask for the rights of the families and the victims.
I just have one question. Since you're covered and you're not showing your identity, what kind of concerns you have with that? Are you, can you explain it
Sure.
for us?
When we started our team, when we started collecting information and working on the project in the early 2018, many writers, journalists, researchers in Egypt turned down our offer to collaborate with us. All of them was really dead scared on their lives, on their security. So I don't think it's courageous to stand with my face right now, speak openly. Our ultimate goal to make this project happen. And if it takes me to cover my face and my team will be unidentified, let's keep us unidentified to keep working on these initiatives. So it's for security for people who's working in the project right now, and for security of people who will work on the project, and also to make it happen. That's all.
Okay, we have one question, so let's answer.
Hi, has the government tried to track you down?
I'm sorry?
She asked if the government tried to take you down.
To track you down, to know who is involved?
Personally?
Yes.
I'm trying every possible way not to be tracked down, and the developer of the website has extra, procedures to keep the security of the website identified, and hopefully, nobody's 100% sure that something will not happen to me. Like when I was sitting here waiting to give this presentation, I was thinking about my family, the families of my team. So I cannot say I'm secured 100%. Nobody can say that. But I have to keep doing what I'm doing.
So we have another question. Okay.
I just wanted to say that what you are doing takes up a lot of courage. Yeah, like you need a really strong mind to, like go out there and like tell the story of the powerless and the helpless, to like be here and like tell all the world about what's actually happening. Like you are the strongest woman I've ever seen. Like you are an inspiration. Like seriously, I really admire you for what you are doing. Yes, that's it.
We have another question.
Hello, thank you for your offer. I have one question. Why don't you consider to look for the people in prison? You're not thinking to add it on the website?
Actually, it's a very good question. Thank you for it. Because when we launched the website, we got a request from one of the well-known activists in Egypt demanding us to expand our project because there is 60,000, an increasing number of prisoners in Egypt, and many of them, losing their life because of the, ill healthcare treatment or, the ignorance. So we have requested that. Unfortunately, we cannot do that right at this moment, even though I'm really, I would do anything to do that, because also that will save people who already alive. We don't have to wait until they lose their life. But unfortunately, because we have a very small team with very small resources, we cannot do that right now. But I have a good news for you that we started looking for support to make this happen.
We have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm sorry I was upstairs. I just came down just to ask a question. First of all, I'm from Tunis, and I worked on Egypt, on human rights violation in Egypt for years now as a program manager under my capacity within my organization. And I would like maybe because we won't have a chance to meet later for security reasons, as you won't be able to show your identity. I can connect you, for example, with frontline defenders to provide security online and offline security for you and your team. That would be very, very important for
definitely.
you, and I really appreciate your work. Also, what I would like to say is, the government of Egypt, I know I've read many reports about the violation happening in Egypt and killing people outside of extrajudicial killing happening in Egypt. So what I would advise you to do is work more on the communication. Of course, everybody here in the room maybe will be sharing this story, because I was shocked because I did not know about this initiative until now, and I consider myself, for example, an expert working on the region. So I would ask you to advertise this initiative and to make it reach the maximum possible, because I think what is, of course, honoring the dead and the victims is something noble and great, and of course I would agree with that. But what is more important is that we guarantee that this will not repeat again. And of course, maybe we should wait for another phase of transitional justice in Libya, in Egypt. So this work would be very, very useful for that part of transitional justice in terms of reconciliation and breaking with the past. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And I'll contact Jashone to connect us together, so I can help you more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your offer, and please, our email is here. This is the only email I can communicate through, and I appreciate your suggestion. We just launched it 4 months ago, and truly we are putting every effort we can do according for our limit, resources and our limit time. But definitely, I also have to tell you one secret. I was really hesitated. 80% I wasn't coming to the conference because it's speaking up about what's happening in Egypt will get you, your family, friends in prison in a way or another. But I wanted to come here because I depend on you, because I know this group of people has a wide network. And I know when I come here, the word will spread through you. So we have shared responsibility toward the project, toward the humans who've been killed. So I'm sure that this conference also will impact on our project very positively, and we will help us get the word spread.
So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Azra. And thank you all for staying. We'll see you tomorrow at workshops.